Okay. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
For everyone who is here, make sure that you at least have a last name present. Like I see some of y'all don't have a last name as far as like Andrea. Just be sure to say your last name in addition to like hello. That way like I can take y'all's attendance easily rather than having to hunt you down because I don't kind of enjoy that for some reason.
And I know we do have duplicates too, so we want to make sure that we get the right person and not someone who's like graduated already.
And remember, that's only if your last name is not present in the name available. So like Mackenzie, you're good. Raven, you're good. I can see y'all's last name.
Oops. Okay. Yeah, so I don't think anyone else has joined, but in the meantime, just remember to say hello in the chat box or anything in the chat box so you can get credits. Okay, so this is our social media information. So we have our Instagram. We post updates on there all the time. We have our GroupMe. If you're not in the GroupMe, make sure you email Daniel. He's the vice president, and he'll be able to send the link to you. And then we are on OrgLink. If you're not a member on OrgLink, then you're not a member of Shamos, no matter whether you pay your dues or not. So if you're not a member on OrgLink, go ahead and join us. And then we do have a Facebook. We post the most and we communicate the most through GroupMe and email. So definitely join the GroupMe if you haven't already. Okay. And then, so thank you guys to everyone who's signing up and donating at blood drives. It's remarkable. They're filling up, or at least they're getting close to full. We have a lot of donors. That's really good. That never happens. So I'm really proud of you guys, and I'm really happy that we're filling them up. So hopefully we can keep that trend going for the rest of the semester. And then also we do have a YouTube channel now. So if you missed the meeting or you just want to review it and go back and see the information, we will upload it to YouTube. Okay, so like I said, just some steps to becoming a member. Make sure you join us on OrgLink, whether it's through requesting to join, it'll be like in the top right corner, or you can request an invitation and then I can email it to you. And then that's also an easy way to join. Okay. So service hours, we are requiring members to earn a minimum of 10 service hours. Anything less than that, then you're considered a part-time member. And then this semester, we're doing it a little bit differently. So any service hour that's earned over 10 will roll over to the spring semester, just to make it easier on you guys, because we know that it's really hard to get service hours right now. And then make sure to use the outside hours log for non-meeting and non-blood drive events. So like, for example, if you're volunteering at the flu shot clinics that are coming up, put those on the outside hours log and those will count too. And then you'll turn that in at the end of the semester to Tyler, our secretary. And then one of your hours must be from blood drives, whether it's through donating or volunteering and passing out flyers or even recruiting people. That's how you can get your hour there. Okay, and then finally dues. They are due by October 1st with no exceptions. This is our Cash App information. And then this is also our treasurer's information. So if you need to contact him to meet in person with cash, then you can. But for sure, no matter what, October 1st, if you don't pay us, then you're not a member, unfortunately.
Yeah, after October 1st, we're not going to be accepting any. So yeah. I think it's a week from today. Either. I think, yeah.
And then also, whenever you do pay, whether like via Cash App or cash, make sure you let him know your t-shirt size, because your dues do include your t-shirt for the semester.
Exactly.
Okay, and then the spring scholarship. So the top 2 members with the most hours, like total collective hours, will receive $100 each. So in order to get the scholarship, you must meet the minimum requirements of being a full-time member, and you must pay your dues on time. And then in the event of a tie, so if by some remarkable event we do have a tie, then whoever has the most meeting hours will receive the scholarship. Sorry, I'm like rolling over my tongue today. So for volunteer and hour opportunities, this is just a big list of stuff that you can do. So each meeting is worth 1 hour. Blood drives, you can do as many as you want with the blood drives. And then food donations to the Sam Houston Food Pantry. So for every 3 items, it's 1 hour. And then the same for Reby Huff. And then the Alzheimer's Association, we put the link in the most recent email, I believe. But if not, I'll send it in the GroupMe as well. For every $5, that counts for 1 hour. And then we are also doing something new. So it's going to be Zoom STEM tutoring. So any of the science, technology, engineering, math, or pretty much any type of class, if you can tutor for K through 12 students, then contact Denise Garcia here at her email, and she'll be able to assign you a student that's probably going to be in Montgomery County, and you can do STEM like tutoring through Zoom. And then obviously any other volunteering event that you can do, that's how you can get your hours. So like I said, the flu shot clinic, or if you volunteer to make masks still, or you do anything outside, just make sure you put it on the outside hours log and you'll be good. Okay, so this is a list of our blood drive opportunities for the rest of the semester. So you get 2 hours for successfully donating red blood cells, and then an additional 2 hours for donating plasma, or if you do double red blood cells. And then you get 1 hour for attempting to donate, but if you get rejected, like if you have low iron, they'll reject you, then we'll still give you an hour for attempting to donate. And then you also get 1 hour for every hour that you hand out flyers and recruit people to donate themselves. And then, like I said, these are all the dates. So the ones that we have coming up, let me make sure I'm on the right date. Yeah, okay. So these are all the ones that we have coming up. I know the 19th is getting a little bit full. So if you're wanting to donate on the 19th, make sure you sign up pretty quickly, and then the same for the 5th. And then if you do choose to donate, you will be tested for antibodies if that's something that you're just curious about or you want. And then they'll be from the same time in the same place. So from 12 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. in between the chemistry building and the life science building, second floor entrance. So it's kind of on the street. And then email Denise if you have any questions about that as well. And this is our blood drive coordinator's information and email. So if you have any questions that are like specifically blood drive related or eligibility requirements, she'll be able to answer you. Okay, and then this is our advisor's information. So Miss Renee Harris, so advising has started. If you haven't scheduled an appointment with her, I highly recommend you do so. It's all via email or through Zoom. So, and I know that she filled up fast. So definitely hop on that if you need to be advised. And then this is her email and her phone number. And then this is also our Shamos advisor's information. Her name is Dr. Gilliard. So she's the Shamos advisor and JAMP advisor. So if you have any questions at all, you can also email her.
And for those of y'all who are planning to apply to the JAMP process, y'all need to hurry up and get all of your documents together because that date is coming up soon, much sooner than you think.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast.
Been there, done through that process.
Yeah.
It'll bite you if you don't hurry.
Yeah, definitely do not procrastinate, guys. It's a lot of work. Okay, so the spring semester t-shirt information. So I know a lot of you guys were planning on getting your t-shirt this week. I had to be tested for COVID on Tuesday, and I'm still waiting on my results. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So what we're gonna do is if I test positive, I will hand the shirts off to another officer. They will be sterilized and everything. And then they will contact you about picking up your shirt. And then if I test negative, then we'll just continue up next week like everything is normal. Or the other option is we can ship it to you for $5. So. And then if you have any questions about anything specific, this is all of our contact information. You can screenshot it, or I'll upload this PowerPoint to org link. And then, like I said, we do have a YouTube, so you can always go back and look at it that way. And today's speaker, we have Miss Latanya Neely. I hope I pronounced that right. If I didn't, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Actually, it's Lee Tanya. My mama spelled it weird, I guess, but you know, I always emphasize it, and so I got teased because I always put the Lee on it. But anyway, but thank you guys for having me. I'm really excited to be here with you all, and you know, I was listening into a lot of the volunteer opportunities and things that you all are doing to stay active, even though you're in a virtual world, and it really is. I guess it's a really good thing to see that you all are still staying or still thriving. You're still motivating each other and yourselves, and you know, trying to keep on track. And so I really appreciate just getting a glimpse into that, because we get a lot of questions now about how are students able to be, you know, still going through this process, and how are we going to be looking at your activities and your application. And these are some of the things we're going to be looking for. How did you all manage through this? And we're not going to be, you know, tough on you all at all, because it's a very different environment. It's very different for us. So we're, you know, we all understand that. So we'll talk a little bit more about admissions in my presentation, but I did want to share my screen. So you said I could do that, Morgan?
Yes, you should be able to.
Okay.
If not, let me know.
Okay. Well, I did have like one glitch. So if something happens, I'm coming right back. I'm hoping that I won't, but I'm on my home Wi-Fi, so I'm really hoping it'll be all right. Yeah, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. So let me share my screen. It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Dang it. Okay. Let me do it again. Okay, see what happened.
There we go. All right.
All right, we can see the screen.
Awesome.
There we go. So it's a somewhat lengthy presentation because it's got a lot of information in it. I will say that. So I'm going to share some things with you about UTMB briefly, because we're going to hit it and quit it. But then there's some information about our curriculum. So I'm hoping that you all want to hear about that. But then also at the end of my presentation, I do give you some advice on admissions and just give you the scope of admissions with UTMB. So hang in there with me, and then I will stick around for questions, even if you want to stick around. I guess the time ending is 7 p.m. So, you know, let me know if I'm going over, but I like to talk.
We can go past that if you want.
I'll be okay.
Yeah, it is a virtual. It's all up to you.
Okay, good. So we'll go forward. So first thing that we always want to share with you all is to give you an idea of, you know, our mission, vision, and values, at least to state that for you, so that you can understand, you know, where we stand in terms of an institution, a health science center, and what we are trying to do. And the vision really speaks a lot to me what our community is like at UTMB, because we do work together as a community of faculty, staff, students. You know, we want to make sure that we're giving you all the best education. We're giving the state of Texas the best care, and we're pushing out the most innovative research projects and you know, cutting edge things that we can do for the state of Texas and for the world. And so certainly you can see that listed there, as well as our values. There are definitely things that you will see embodied in everyone that is at UTMB. This just gives you kind of a glimpse of our campus, an aerial view, just to give you an idea of where we're located. If you've never been to UTMB, you may not know that we're right by the water. So we're not far from, this is the Port of Galveston. We're not far from the Gulf of Mexico on the other side, but we're a pretty large campus. We have over 70 major buildings on our campus. We're an independent institution. So we're not a part, you know, like the branch that's in Houston. We're certainly independent. We have 4 schools on our campus. One is, of course, the medical school, the nursing school, the School of Health Professions, and the Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences. So very interdisciplinary there. We have 4 institutes for advanced study. So we are doing some cutting edge things, especially in human infections and immunity. And of course, vaccine sciences. So that's something that UTMB is actually currently working on with the COVID-19 situation. We are a member of the Texas Medical Center. And like I said, we have over 70 major buildings on our campus. So to give you just a little glimpse about the clinical enterprise, because you know UTMB is just not on the island. We do have a number of hospitals off the island. We are a level 1 trauma center, so a lot of the patients that get injured, like let's say in the refineries that are there in Texas City, if they're on the rigs out in the Gulf, the people that come in from the cruise ships that need assistance, we're all there in that area to assist. And so we have to be set up for those types of things. We also have a biosafety containment unit right outside the emergency room. So, you know, individuals who are coming that need to be contained, such as, you know, having like, we had the Ebola crisis, or things of that nature, they can be contained in a facility and treated as well at our institution. So we have a couple other hospitals on our campus that are not owned by UTMB, but they're pretty unique. The Shriners Burns Hospital for Children, and then the Texas Department Criminal Justice Hospital. And yes, our students rotate through those hospitals and do a number of things in some of the clinics in the region. So we'll talk a little bit more about where our students go, but this is just to give you an idea of what we're doing in terms of clinical. So I will transition a little bit to our medical school curriculum and talk to you a little bit more about that. And I set this up this way because, one, you have to understand, you know, what it is we're doing and how we're going to train you, but then that's how it's supposed to translate to, you know, why we want you to be the kind of student we're looking for. So to give you a backdrop of our curriculum, first it's called the Integrated Medical Curriculum, or the IMC for short, what we call it. And a couple of things stand out for us in terms of how we approach learning. First, we want to integrate the disciplines. With the basic science material, we're going to integrate across the disciplines. So that means that all of the information that you're learning in a particular course, it won't just be biology. You know, you're going to have a lot of different disciplines within that particular course. And so, you know, a lot of what you're doing now in college, you'll spend a whole semester learning about something, but in medical school, you'll have 6 weeks to put that information, or along with some other classes, put that together. So that's something that you would want to, you know, keep in mind. And also we integrate clinical science material within the courses. So, you know, your first 2 years are going to be heavily what we call problem-based learning cases. You'll have a number of those in those particular courses. And so this way you can correlate what it is you're learning and apply that to a real situation. That's what we want you to focus on. So definitely problem solving challenges. That's what we're embedding into all of our classes, because we want you to take the tools you're learning in medical school and go beyond, you know, so because that's what you're gonna be. You're a medical investigator, a medical problem solver. And so that's what we want to continue to cultivate for you. So like I mentioned before, the problem solving is involved in our curriculum. It's self-directed. It's going at a pace that, you know, you can manage. So if you want to study all night long, you're welcome to do that and find whatever resources you can. You know, a lot of our curriculum lectures, I should say, are recorded, and students will watch them, you know, so they don't always attend the lectures. So a lot of times students are making their own schedule and determining when they're going to do lectures and when they're going to study. And so this is a good way for you to show us how well you can manage your time. And so it's interdisciplinary, definitely. So you're going to be working with just not only the medical students, but you're also going to be working with PA students. You'll be working with PT, nursing students, even some graduate students. So, you know, it's a very active learning environment as well. And like I said, linking that basic science to clinical relevance and teamwork and professionalism, that's huge. That's very huge at UTMB. And certainly with the small groups that I'm going to talk to you about in problem-based learning, you've got to demonstrate how well and effective you can be working in a team. So the problem-based learning, of course, comes with a faculty facilitator. Those groups are, you have about 8 to 10 of your classmates in a group, and you'll be led by that faculty facilitator. They're not there to give you answers. You as a group are going to work through a case. And so you all will come up with the problem list, what's going on with this patient and what information do we need to know so that we can get to an answer. And all of what you're learning or through that process in problem-based learning correlates to the information that you're learning in lecture and in labs. And so it goes right along with it. And I like that approach a lot, because when you can see it and you can put your hands on it, it's the best way to learn than just, if you're taking chemistry courses and you're looking at lines and letters on the page. What does this mean? You want to be able to see it in action. And so that's what I really appreciate. And something that's very unique that I've recently learned, I didn't realize this, but our PBL cases actually come from real cases that UTMB faculty have worked with. So this is really happening. These are situations that you really need to know about. So that's the one thing that I really love about that, and fostering that collaborative environment so that you can work with your peers. So here is a breakdown of the first 2 years of the courses that you will see. And I don't list out how long these courses are, but I mentioned to you that, you'll have to learn gross anatomy radiology in 6 weeks, and you certainly will. So the courses are not very long, but they go consecutively. The first 3, or I should say the first one, is more of an introductory course, Mindfully Evolving, Thriving, and Advocating. So it's not science-based, clinical-based at all. It's really designed to foster your skills, hone in your skills, kind of transition you into medical school, and share with you the resources that you might need, point you in those directions to kind of get used to everything. But then gross anatomy is the first science course. And so those first 3 are what we call the basic medical science courses that you will take at UTMB. And then you'll go into the organ-based systems at the end of year 1. And then following year 2 is the rest of the organ-based systems. Between years 1 and 2, you'll have 8 weeks off. And so you'll get a chance to do a summer preceptorship, or you may be able to do some research. And a preceptorship means that you'll be doing some clinical shadowing or doing some work with a clinical faculty member. And so that will help you, if you're interested in a particular field and you want to know early, is this definitely what I want to do? Then you can spend some time between years 1 and 2 to decide if that's the career path you would like to take. Now, you do see their practice of medicine in green, year 1 and year 2. Those are also required courses, but they're a longitudinal course. So they occur all the way from the beginning to the end of the year. And so you'll be learning that your clinical skills in those particular courses. You'll be rotating through our hospitals and clinics, working in teams. And like I said, just getting to learn more of, what you need to know in the clinic. So you will be, immersed into that early on in your medical school education. And here is an example of what a week looks like in year 1. If you notice there, I have the times listed: 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So everything you see across Monday through Friday is everything that you'll do in year 1. And the afternoons are pretty much free. So this is why we call it a half-day schedule. And a couple of days a week, you'll do your practice of medicine experiences, but for the most part, your time is yours. And the reason that they decided to do this was so that you could have more time to be able to go back and study and be able to participate fully with your group whenever you're meeting with your PBL, or you be able to, find other resources and learn, because, staying stuck in lecture all day is just not effective. And it hasn't made a difference for our students, because they've been very successful with this particular schedule. So don't feel like you're not getting what you need. You really can get it. So of course our classes are on a pass-fail basis, so at least the first 2 years, and that's really great. A lot of our students appreciate not having that pressure of having to, get 100% or even an A or even a B. A passing score is all that you need for those first 2 years courses. And we use the National Board of Medical Examiners customized exams. These are actually questions, like a question bank that we'll use for your exams for every course. So from day 1, you're being trained on how to take the exam for your board exam after your first 2 years. And so that's been very beneficial. The students really enjoy being able to get that information early on. Now, how many of you would really love to do that for the MCAT? Yeah, I would think, yeah, I would think so. So, so yeah, that's what I really appreciate about what we have done to kind of shift and more to the norm, because I can say that we're not the first persons. We're kind of, I say we're behind because, a lot of the people in the country or a lot of schools in the country are already doing that, but we're only one of few that are still doing cadaver dissections. So like I said, in that gross anatomy course, you're going to be working with a cadaver in our lab and being able to take a look at the insides of the cadaver. And I will say, at least the director of that course explained to me exactly why they want to continue doing that. I'm a woman, right? And some of you are men, and we look different. We look different inside. But she even said that, just by how our organs are positioned inside our body, that's different for every person. So she feels like you can learn so much by just having, an opportunity to take a look at different bodies and seeing what's inside them. So I thought that was really neat to share with you guys, that we're really looking at trying to give you the best experience that you can have.
Miss Neely?
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry. I was just wondering, do you know why it's a disappearing practice?
I really don't know, because, a lot of what technology now, I think is taking over. It does cost a lot to care for cadavers, to store them, and to dispose of them. So that, I think that may be a leading factor. I do know that there are still people who want to donate their bodies to science, but, we're going to move into a virtual world as well with anatomy, with our new health education center. I'll tell you about that a little bit later. But, that's something that I think is really pushing why everyone else is going that way, but we still want to be old fashioned, Oh, we're going back. You're welcome. So years 3 and 4 courses are listed here, and this is the time where you would transition into the clinics. And UTMB this year instituted a couple of new things for our students in their clinical years. The first being the introduction to workshops and clinical skills course. There used to be a 1-week immersion into clinical skills right before students would start their 3rd year, but they changed that. Now they want to, share more, make sure that students are more proficient, and so it's turned into more of a 3-week course now. So just, introducing you to a little bit more things that they want you to know. And then integrating family medicine and internal medicine. Now, that was actually separate experiences, but now you will spend just a few weeks doing both of those. And of course, we have instituted in the 4th year a health system science and community longitudinal course. So I'm not seeing the whole thing. Yeah, there we go. And so that is something that they've decided to do new, so that they can introduce students to the health systems. And, when you get out there, you want to know, well, what does it take to run a hospital? So that's something that they wanted to add as well to the 4th year. But certainly you will be doing a number of these things in those various places, some of those hospitals that I mentioned before, and then I'll share with you some of our other teaching hospitals. We have partnerships rather in Tyler and also in Houston. So if you wanted to do your entire 3rd and 4th year, we have some partnerships there in Houston. And then I know for a fact that you could at least spend a good number of your 3rd year in Tyler. So that's become a larger hub for us, where our students can go and work with those patients in that area. And of course, if you want to go abroad, you're certainly able to do that. Not all of your experiences have to be in Galveston, and there are going to be some that you're going to do away. So definitely, if you wanted the opportunity to go to the East Coast or the West Coast, you'll be able to do that, especially in your elective years. And then the next slide here talks about that health education center I was telling you about. So it's one of the newest hospitals we have on our campus. And it's what is considered our simulation hub, not only for medical students, but also for the nursing students, for PT, OT, the physician assistant studies students. So everybody has a hand over there in that facility. And so it's split up to where there's a simulation side, and there's about 5 floors, and it goes from being one with just those mannequins and task trainers that you can learn on, to actually going to a full-fledged ICU unit an operating suite where you can actually simulate the situations and practice in that environment. And we also have our standardized patient program or center in that building as well. So we actually have real persons that will come over and practice with our students so they can learn their skills. So very collaborative environment. It has a number of study areas that students can take advantage of, as well as, you know, group study, personal study, and the lecture rooms there are wonderful. I mean, they're state of the art. They've got plenty of screens and microphones in there that you wouldn't even have to get up off the from your table to engage with the instructors. So for research, yes.
Sorry, I have a question about the VR for simulation stuff. How does that work? That's really interesting. Like, do they just give a case and just like, how do you practice? Or...
For you said the VR spaces?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's future. That hasn't happened yet. We're planning for that, and I haven't been shared what those plans are, but that is definitely something that's the next step in terms of how we're going to where we're going to house that at, and how we're going to do that. Okay, so hopefully I'll have an answer for you soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So research, you are, you know, as a medical student, you think, am I going to have time to do research? And you certainly will. We provide, like I said, opportunity between the first and second year to do research, but you can also do research in your elective periods in years 3 and 4. And a lot of our students take advantage of that because they want to get an edge in the application process for residency, especially if you're going for those specialized areas. They want to see that you've done some type of research in that particular field. So we've got a number of experiences students can participate in, and it's very easy to actually get someone, you know, to be a part of someone's lab and to engage yourself in research activities. So you don't have to be in a degree program to have research experiences. You can simply do a project and that'll suffice. And we also have dual degree opportunities. We definitely have the MD and PhD program, and there's a number of master's programs that will take 5 years for you to complete, but the Masters of Public Health, actually now you can complete that in 4 years. And so that's something that's pretty new. And if you want more information about that, I can share that later. And then we also have tracks. And so this is something that one of the deans in the past used to say, this is like majoring in medical school. So if you wanted to have more of an emphasis in aerospace medicine or in bilingual health, or even public health, you could do some additional experiences to expand your learning and your knowledge in those particular fields. Now, when you complete the track, you will have this designation on your diploma as being a scholar in that area, but it's not necessarily something that's required. And if you certainly wanted to take advantage of some of those activities and not be a part of the track, you could do that. So there's a number of opportunities for students. You know, even as an undergrad, you're already thinking about what kind of career you're going to have. But man, once you get to medical school, it's going to blow your mind, and you're going to find a lot of things that you're going to have an interest in. So it's a good thing you can kind of test that out while you're in medical school and see if it's going to be a good fit for you in your in a future profession. And here's, yes.
I'm sorry for interrupting you again. What is translational medicine? Or translational research, sorry.
Yeah, so the translational research, so that's like that bench to bedside research that we're talking about, where you know, there's some things that happen in the clinic and that we can translate to the bench, and then also things that are going on in the research labs that we can then take to the clinic aspect and have someone to do some research on. So you'll be working alongside, you know, the PhD folks in that particular field, and then with the graduate students as well, kind of making sure that you understand how, you know, medicine translates, science translates into medicine, get that link going. So that's what that track is about.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. So our students, this was just giving you a glimpse of what some of our students look like. And these are students that are either involved in activities, service activities. They may be a part of cultural groups or events that our student life office puts together. So I just wanted to share a little bit of what our students look like and what they do on our campus. Hopefully one day you'll get to come down and you'll really get to interact with them. But we have a number of organizations as medical students or, professional students. There's definitely a lot of organizations that you can get involved in. And a number of them range from being in service, like I said, there's fraternal organizations, believe it or not. We have some recreational organizations, definitely your interest, like if you're interested in, anything, emergency medicine, internal medicine, OB-GYN, there's wonderful opportunities for you to engage not only with your classmates, but those that are above you, and even those that are alumni or people that are working in the profession. So it's a way for you to network. So this is just giving you an idea of our student presence at UTMB. Not only are they students, but they also serve the community, and they do a number of things with the St. Vincent's Free Clinic in Galveston. We also do a number of things in Frontera de Salud in the Big Bend area, and that's interdisciplinary or interprofessional activity where not only do the medical students go, but they also go with the nursing students, and sometimes the physician assistant students will go out and serve the communities there. So I'm going to transition a little to medical school admissions, and let's talk a little bit more about what we are looking for in a student. So I've shared with you our curriculum and giving you kind of a glimpse of, what the curriculum is like and how you're going to have to, be a self-directed learner. You're going to have to be able to work in groups and be able to, be successful in that. And so some of the things that we're looking for certainly are listed here on this screen. This is just a comprehensive list of that. And so really we want to be sure that this is definitely something you want to do and that you've tested it and that you feel pretty well-rounded. You don't have to have all of these types of characteristics, but certainly we're looking for a number of those things within you. And then we want to share with you our admission statistics. I know this is something that everyone wants to hear. How many applications do you receive and how many interviews do you do each year? And with a class of 230, 5,000 applications seems like a whole lot. But, of that number, there's a couple of thousand, I believe, that are not as viable, are not as competitive. Some of those applications may not be complete either, from what I remember. And so, that's the number that you'll see there, is just the whole of the number. But there's a number of students that are also applying to other medical schools. So you'll understand that you're, in a pool of students that are competing at other schools as well. But if UTMB is your choice, hey, that's all you need is that one interview from us, right? So just to give you an idea of the overall GPA and average MCAT, those are numbers that you can shoot for. It's certainly not the number that you have to have to get into our program. And then also to break down to you a number of factors that make up our class as well in terms of the diversity of our class. I think that we are holding steady with our 30% of students that come from underrepresented groups, and as well as the men to women ratio. I'm still seeing steady women, outnumbering the men. Why, I don't know, but that seems to be a trend for us a little bit. So just wanted to share a little bit of these facts with you to give you more of a glimpse into what the students look like in the class. So we're going to transition to our requirements for medical school. And so you may have seen these already, and they're not any different from other medical schools. I know some that are requiring you to have psychology, or they're requiring you to have biochemistry, and we're not requiring you to do that at all. So you'll see them listed there, and that's also information listed on our website. So one of the other requirements, which is not necessarily new, but it is, this is probably our second or third year. I think it's the third year we've used the Casper test. And so this year and last year, we're actually using it as a part of our screening process, as well as ranking our students for admission into the school. So this is a computer-based test. It's more of a situational judgment kind of test, like what would you do? Giving you a scenario, someone dropping $20 on the ground, what would you do? I mean, that's real vague, and certainly there's more questions and scenarios that get bigger than that, but that's really what they're asking. And so they're wanting to assess your non-cognitive skills and how well you respond to situations. And so it's going to be I guess assessed, but it's going to be not tested. I can't even get my words right today, but you understand what I mean. So they're going to score you. They're going to score you and provide that information to us. And that's something you don't get to see. That is a kind of a blind test kind of thing, where you won't really know how well you performed on that exam. So you've got to be trusting that, you performed at the best on that test. And we get that information, and we use that information then, like I said, to screen applicants, as well as to rank you at the end after you've interviewed with us. So it helps us in our process. And something that was shared with us that we're starting to see a trend is that students who don't perform that well on that exam, who have gone through medical school, have later had problems and challenges in medical school. So it has become something of a trusted tool. And so more schools are actually coming online with requiring this. So you'll want to take an opportunity to go to that website and find out more information about the test. You can only take it once every application cycle. So that would be something that if you had to reapply, you would have to do it again, just so you'll know that. We're also requiring a secondary application for admission. So once we receive your TMD SAS application, you will receive an email from us inviting you to complete that application. The fee for that is $70. It's a short application, but it's more or less giving us more of an insight into what we're looking for in our students. And so it'll help give us more information about you. And the admissions process. So more with that, we're going to be looking at with the Casper and the secondary application and your MCAT and your academics, your GPA. We're also going to look at letters of evaluation and essays and interviews. So a lot, everyone's doing this, but I would say our emphasis would be more on what you have done within your application. We also want to hear your voice and your story, why you want to come into medicine. So your essays are going to be very important for us, and as well as your interview. It's really a formality, for us to have a conversation with you. But, there are students that make it through the process and get to the interview and we go, wow, we didn't see that coming. So that's kind of the reason why it's one of the last things that we'll use to give us an idea of who we want in our class. So here are these are the sections of the actual application. And so you will, if you go to TMD SAS's website and you look up their application handbook, you will see these different sections described, and they give you, wonderful information and guides on how to complete these areas. And so we like to point them out that, yes, we're looking at all of this. As in terms of what we're looking for in your application, we want to see all of this. We don't have an emphasis of you have to have more healthcare, you have to have a lot of community service, but I will say that we're looking at how well you spent your time while you've been in undergrad. So you don't want to try to put a lot of activities on the back end of like, let's say your third year in school, your fourth year in school. I mean, that might be when you had a lot of time to devote to it, but spread it out if you can, and show that you've had a commitment to those particular activities rather than just hurrying up and checking off some boxes. I've done this, I've done that. So that's some advice that I would love to give you guys to make sure that you, kind of plan out your semesters. Because you're going to want to share with us and show that you matured each time that you participate in particular activities. So your essays are listed there. The first two are required essays, and the last one is an optional essay. So again, this gives you an opportunity to share with us about who you are, what has motivated you, why you feel you're a good fit for medical school and this profession. And so, I encourage you to complete all of that. And these questions really aren't changing. So you can start actually writing some of your thoughts down and gathering, what you're going to be putting in those particular essays. So when it comes time for you to complete the application, you're not stuck, with writer's block. And, that would hinder you from submitting your application on time. Your letters of evaluation. You have a question?
Yes, ma'am. It was 2 slides back whenever it was describing extracurriculars and leisure activities.
Sure.
I found that a lot of the students, at least with JAMP, were confused with not so much the extracurricular activities, but what were y'all looking for as far as like leisure activities? So I figured that'd be a good question for all of the members here present who don't exactly know what that means as far as the application process.
Okay, so anything outside of academics is what we consider extracurricular. So that may be, being a part of clubs, being a part of community groups and whatnot. Leisure activities are more personal, such as running, biking, reading, hiking, cooking, art, music. So that's the difference in the two. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. And so back to letters of evaluation, I will say that we accept either the individual letters or the HPAC packet. So, be sure that you find someone that knows you well, that can speak about you uniquely, that understands, what the demands are for medical school and how you are a good fit for that particular school, for that particular training. And so, be thinking of that now, because we're at the point towards the end of the application process. So I don't think you guys may be going through the application now, but so now you've got some time to be able to kind of fill out some of your faculty and see, or your professors, and see, who is going to be able to write you a pretty good letter of recommendation. So definitely want to see at least one letter from someone who's taught you in the sciences. So be sure that you'd be looking, look out for that. So our interviews this year have changed, and we wanted to kind of just let you all know what that looks like. We had slated to start our interviews in mid-August. We usually start at the beginning of August, but we initially said we were going to do them in August, but we actually didn't start till September. But we're going to go till the second week in January. And we're still interviewing about 60 students a week, but we split that up into 2 days. So we'll do them on Wednesdays and Fridays. And right now, Friday is a little bit more heavier than Wednesday, just because we're trying to make up for some of those interview days that we missed out on. But you have a traditional interview with 2 faculty at UTMB. So we haven't switched over to MMIs yet, but and if you need advice about preparing for interviews, we can talk later. And this is the timeline, kind of giving you more of a glimpse of, why I said you need to plan out, your activities, and then also include this timeline within that, because you want to be successful in this process. About 2/3 of our class is going to come from the offers that we start making on October the 15th. So you're going to want to be in that group. And that means you've got to get your application in early, and you've got to make sure that everything is done, in time. So that's why you start from that point and go backwards. What do I need to do to get myself ready at that point? And so that is why we want to stress this timeline, so you have an idea of what the next steps will be after that. Now, how do you prepare? A lot of times it's not easy. This road is definitely not easy. And there's a lot of different pieces to this journey, and we're looking at how well and how effective you are in studying, how effective you are in managing your time and communicating, how well you work with people. Those are things that we're looking for. And so when you talk about how do I prepare myself, you have to kind of look at those different areas and judge, do I need to work on this a little bit more? am I stronger in this area? Do I have any experience in this area? We're not looking for you to be heavy in one area or the other. You certainly don't even have to have research to come to UTMB, to be considered for admission, I should say. But we definitely want to see that you've experienced some kind of health related activity, shadowing, maybe it was a job. You certainly want to show us you've done a significant amount of work in the community. So those are some things that we're looking at, and we can't stop and go, okay, we're going to cultivate this in you once you come to medical school. You got to come with that already. So these are things that you can be looking out. So we're going to break down the 4 years and give you a glimpse of what it is that we're looking for you to do to be successful. And the things that are bolded there are things that I feel are very important for the first year students to be able to do while they are going through this process. Get in a habit of personal reflection, right? And you want to build a good support network. Those things are very important to start out doing that, because if you've never done it before and you're at the crunch of trying to get things done, you're not going to be successful with that. But you want to build meaningful relationships with people. So that means, making those connections with organizations or individuals on campus that you want to get involved in. Don't be afraid to join other groups. You don't have to stay the track of always doing something in science and always doing something in, some kind of clinical experience or health experience. You can expand your horizons, and we definitely want to see that in you. We feel that that's going to make you a better applicant and a better person, better well-rounded person. One, because you have actually, delved into the things that you're interested in that are close to your heart. And that I feel you would give more time to and commit to, and you'll be more successful with. In your sophomore year, you want to continue to work on your prerequisite courses. So you don't want to slack, because as you go through your years, it gets harder, it builds. And so you don't want to be trying to play catch up. But if you're one of those students that came in to, pre-med later, well, that's okay. Just take your time. Don't rush that process. That's what I would tell you. You definitely want to continue pursuing those meaningful activities that we talked about, and start thinking about what you're going to do over the summer, because that's time where you can utilize that for a number of things. And so you're going to want to be sure that you carve out a plan for how you want to spend that time. And in your junior year, this is the year for me when I was a pre-med student was the toughest, because I was taking some of those upper level science courses, trying to, get more of my prerequisites done. I was studying for the MCAT, and I'm still trying to maintain my GPA so I can keep my scholarship. And it was a lot to have to handle. So having a plan really helped me to stay focused. But you want to try to, stretch yourself. This is the year that you stretch yourself. And if you think about it, as a medical student, their first 2 years was basic science stuff. Once they get to third year, boy, they get stretched. Third year is usually their hardest year. So this is the year where the rubber meets the road and where you can prove yourself. So continue to work on your activities if you need them, and start getting your letters ready, completing your essays and whatnot. And then the summer between your junior and senior year is when you're going to complete your application and submit everything that you need, all your supporting documents, taking the MCAT, retaking it, and getting prepared for the interview. So you can actually do that before the summer, but that's definitely when you want to take the time to do that, because if schools will start interviewing as early as July. So you're gonna wanna prepare yourself. Don't let that be the first time you share your story with someone about why you wanna go into medicine. And then in your senior year, I think the biggest takeaway that I have is that you maintain academic success. Because at the point that you say, oh, I've submitted everything, I've got my interview done, I don't need to take school seriously anymore. I'm telling you to finish strong, because I believe that, you have to be accountable to yourself and what you do. And if you can, show yourself, demonstrate to yourself that I can do this to the end and finish strong, I think that that'll carry you through once you get into medical school, because it's going to be a battle, in my opinion, with yourself when you get into professional school. So try to do that in undergrad as well. And so here are my final thoughts to you all. Don't get distracted with all these things that are going on in the world right now. It's very easy to do, especially now with COVID. but this is a time for you to really, challenge yourself and figure out, can I do this? Am I really fit for this? This is that pressure that they're talking about. How did I handle myself? What decisions did I make? So what was this impact on me, and how did I mature? Because I believe everyone's going to mature in this very situation. So learn to say no to people when you got to study, when you need to get ready for a test. If you planned out and said, I'm going to write this essay Saturday night because that's what you were going to set out to do, don't let anybody tell you different. Stay on course with what you have sought out for yourself, and definitely stay involved and utilize all of your resources that you have for yourself. And lastly, here is our information where you can contact us. You're welcome to contact us by email or phone. You can visit our website where there's more information about our school, and then follow us on social media. So we'll share this information with you all as well. And that's all that I have. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you for presenting. It's very informative.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And
I
then
can take any questions anybody has any, or what's the time? Oh, it's 7 o'clock. I told you I would talk.
you did perfect. There is a question in the group chat. It popped up earlier, but I kind of saved it to mention it until the end. So it's from Justina. She said, I'm curious about the Texas Department of Criminal Justice hospital settings. So like, for instance, someone with a degree in healthcare admin, what types of job positions would they get in this type of setting? And is working with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice as an officer helpful?
So that's a good question. TDCJ is managed by the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. So, we work in conjunction with them. And so there's strict rules within that facility. So I'm not sure how they, go about hiring individuals to work in the system or work in the hospital setting. I can't say that it makes a difference if you've been an officer there or not. I can't speak about what healthcare administration does, because that's not our area. So I'm sorry, I can't be helpful with that question.
And then I had a question. So for those that take a gap year, like, what do you recommend people do during their gap year?
That's a great question. A lot of times you have to kind of think about why they're taking a year off, or, a lot of times it's because they need to study for the MCAT, or that they need to increase their GPA. So if it is studying for the MCAT, then what your goal is, and that you have to set up a study plan to be able to get through the material so that you can be successful the time that you decide to take it. You can do whatever you want in the interim. You want to work, you don't want to work, you want to go, travel somewhere or whatnot. It's not something that we tell you what to do. But I think that those students who need to improve in particular areas, that's the time that you use that for. If you are trying to bolster your GPA and taking more classes, a lot of times it means 2 years. It doesn't mean just 1 year, because you really want to show a significant boost in that GPA. So you've got to have semesters of grades, upper grades like A's, to be able to really push that GPA up. So some students will then say, you know what, if I'm going to take 2 years of classes, I might as well just go get a master's. And if you do that, we prefer that you get a master's in the science areas, because we are heavily looking at that science GPA and how well students perform on the graduate level. And that'll give us more of an idea academically how well you could assimilate through the material in the class. Anybody else have any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So I know for like a lot of students, I know you mentioned junior year in medical school and also in college, it's a busy year because you're planning to apply for med school and the MCAT and all that. So I was wondering what advice you had to keep students sane and like keep your mental health in check and all that, because I'm a junior and I'm going to be planning to take the MCAT next semester, and soon I'm going to be studying for it. So just wanted to know some advice.
So one of the things that we tell medical students because they get that pressure and that stress as well. You know, we tell them to revisit the why you are here. So you have to go back and say, why is it that I want to even go into medicine? And when you look back on, you know, those experiences that gave you goosebumps and made you feel like this is definitely the path for me, to keep that in your focus. A lot of times what you need to do is just take it day by day. And if you stick to, like, you know, checking off, I've done this, I've done this, and then the small things that you get off your plate, it doesn't seem so heavy of a load, even though it is. Because trust me, I go through this even now in my own job, you know, just have a list of to-dos and it's like, oh my gosh. But once I start checking them off, I'm like, ooh, and I look at the smaller things first and think, okay, it's not so bad, you know, and you get to those things that are more pressing. So, you know, one of the things that I did when I was a pre-med student, the semester that I was taking the MCAT, and this was told to me by my pre-med advisor, so I'm sure they may tell you this too, but I took the least amount of hours that I could so that I didn't have to have so many classes at one time. And I only took 4 classes, which was only like 14 hours. And that way there were some of them, I was thinking maybe 1 or 2 science courses and the rest of them were real easy courses. So that way I could focus the rest of my time studying for the MCAT. Now, was I successful taking the MCAT? No, because I'm probably not a good test taker, but that's not you, you know, that's not going to be your story. So, you know, I would say that it works because the less that you have to do, the better you'll be. But keep the why in mind, keep why you want to do this. And it's going to be tough. It's built that way. You know, I mean, if you think about, when I tell people all the time, when you think about working out and even if you're doing like running, or if you're riding a bike, or you're going up an incline and you feel afterwards your muscles are all sore and it's just like, oh my God, but you push yourself to the limit, right? But the next time you go to do it, what happens? You're stronger and you're able to do that. And then you go, oh, if I can do 50, I'm going to do 100, you know? And so you build on that. So you do have to have that pain and that pressure in order to get to a better place. So keep that in mind. It's just a part of the process. But remember the why. Remember why you want to do this.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And then I have another question that's going to seem a little bit strange, probably. So I know for specifically myself, I'm planning on being a medical examiner. And I know that whenever you go into like the interview process and everything for medical school, I know like a lot of you guys probably want the standard answer of, you know, you want to help people, you want to save people. But if you're wanting to be a medical examiner, you're wanting to deal with dead people. So how would you like recommend like going about that if that's the route that you want to take?
You know, that's a fair question. But you first have to understand when they were alive, you know, and yes, you want to understand, you know, the pathology of a person's passing, but you know, they were alive at one time and there was a process to get to that point of end. So you have to understand what's normal to know what happened abnormally. So it's still the same perspective, in my opinion, because it's not so much about helping people, because I'll tell you the truth, you can say that, but that's not all we're looking for. We don't want to just hear you say, you know, I want to help people, because there's so many other professions in the world that you can help people. I'm helping people, right? But it's more than that. It's more on the medical science. It's more on that. So you could talk more about, you know, the fact that you want to be an investigator. That's pretty much what it is. I've actually watched a lot, because, you know, COVID had me watching a lot of stuff. Dr. G, medical examiner, right? Do you like her?
Yes.
Yeah. She's awesome, right? She's awesome. But I always listen to her because she understands how the body, you know, is supposed to function and why did it go wrong. And she's an investigator. She has to find out why and explain to the loved ones, the ones that remain, what happened to their loved ones. So it's still a process in there of helping people, even if it's not that actual person that passed away. Great questions, guys. I really appreciate your questions. You know, and something that We always do. We always advise students in our office. And we love to interact with pre-meds. If ever you guys have questions past this time and you would like to reach out to us, I've given you our information. I can give it to you again. And you can certainly reach out to us for anything. Anything.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi. First of all, I want to say thank you. Your speech really inspired me to continue this process, and I just want to say thank you for reaching out to us to speak to us. So my first question would be is, when a student particularly takes a medical master's, like a one-year master's program, what are you looking to see in the application that kind of says okay, during this year you really improved? And also my next question is, so when you read applicants, what kind of stands out that is the biggest thing that you see that's I really want to meet this person, or I really this person's a good candidate?
It's a good. Both are good questions. So the first question about a medical master's degree, we don't really have a preference when we're looking at students who do graduate work, what particular area you do it in. But like I said, if it's in the science areas, it gives us more of an idea that you are proficient in thinking scientifically, in approaching problems in a scientific manner. So that's what graduate level work is, a little bit more in depth. It'll take you deeper, so if you were successful in getting, good marks while you were in graduate school, that's what we're looking for. We're not really looking for the actual, the study, the particular courses that you took. It's interesting to us to hear people's different walks and how they, end up getting into medicine, but it's not something that we're specifically looking at. So any graduate coursework would be just fine. But also for your second question in terms of, oh God, now I forgot your question. I'm sorry, honey.
What makes applicants pop out?
Yes, what makes them stand out? So something that was coming to my mind was, our class is very diverse. They come from a number of different areas. It's here at UTMB, we have a very tight community feel. When we feel that what you say to us says, I want to be a part of a group, a community that works together. I work well in a team, and you share with us or show us that you have been involved in those particular areas. That stands out for us. I love seeing unique things where people have done. One person that always stands out in my mind, it was just interesting that she was a Olympic champion skeet shooter. And I was thrilled to know, gosh, that took a lot of, time to skill and, to get to the point of being an Olympic winner. So that was really interesting. So being unique, being who you are, and sharing with us those things that you've done, that's what we want to hear. That's what we want to see. It's not really one particular thing that stands out that I can think of. But I hope that helps. Okay, great. Any other questions?
Going back to the gap year. So I keep going back to it because I'm going to be one of those people that takes the gap year. So what happens in situations whenever students just don't finish the classes that they need in order to take the MCAT? Do you recommend they just go ahead and take it even if they're 1 or 2 classes behind? Or do you recommend that they wait until they finished all those courses?
That's a great question. We got that question a lot, even when we were with the old MCAT format, where the test was only even a couple times a year, so it was really a challenge for people to get those classes under their belt before they take the test. I think that with the test the way that it is now, it's not really testing your knowledge on the, of the particular areas. It's testing your ability to think critically. And so, if you were to be 1 or 2 courses shy, but you feel confident in your test taking abilities, then you could potentially do it. And I've known students that do. But you know, if it's like an area like biochemistry, I think all students need to take biochemistry before you take the MCAT. So, you know, it's something that you feel is pretty one of those major courses that is going to be on there. I think you should wait until you take that course. Now, like with physics, there's 2 parts to physics, right? But if you've taken the first physics, but you're waiting to take the second, then you feel confident in taking the test, I say do it. But you don't have to have all those courses done to take the MCAT. Like I said, it's not judging how much you know about this subject, it's how well you critically think about the responses to the questions.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess I have another.
I'm sorry. Is it Bryston? How do you say your name?
It's Bryston.
Bryston. Okay, good. Go ahead, Bryston.
I'm trying to think of a question. My question would be, it's coming. My question is, I can't believe I forgot it. But no, my question, okay, I remember. So my question is about what would be kind of the timeline of someone who's probably doing like a post-bac, you know, now that they're not exactly going to be doing applications their junior and their senior year?
You know, the timeline for admission is still the same. So, you know, you would have to kind of count to when are you going to apply. You have to kind of figure that out for yourself. When would you like to go ahead and submit that application and work backwards from that time? A post-bac program usually takes a year. Or if you're speaking of just kind of doing some additional things like, you know, coursework on your own, you know, then that's something that goes by semester, you know, so you'll have to kind of look at factoring, you know, when those courses are complete. I can tell you when it comes to a master's particular program, or even if you're in a program, we want to see that you've completed that program before you matriculate in the medical school. So a lot of times, you know, it's a 2-year process versus a 1-year process where you think, oh, I can start the master's program and at the same time I'm submitting my application, and that's a no. That's a no. We would prefer that you just wait until you've completed that degree before you submit your application. So that's what I would say the timeline would be, that you would have to work back from when you think you're going to submit your application. I hope that helps.
So hypothetically, like if we're graduating or finishing our program in the spring, then we need to apply that spring, basically. Or slightly sooner.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because you want also all of your coursework that you've taken as a graduate student to count in your application, because once you hit submit, you can't tell me, oh, I'm in a course right now for the summer and it's going to end in July, but you submit your application in June. That grade is not going to be counted in your application. So you have to wait until you know, if whatever amount of courses you want included in your GPA or your academic profile, that's what you want to do. That's when you think you need to submit the application. Miguel has a question about grades, all right? If you didn't make the best grade in the class, would it be best to retake that class, or would it be more beneficial to take a program such as a post-bac to get a higher GPA? So, you know, that's different there, because a higher GPA doesn't mean just taking one class, especially if you're talking about doing a post-bac or master's. That's multiple classes. But in terms of not doing great in one class, it depends on how low that grade is, because, you know, we can't take grades lower than a C, especially in the prerequisites, and Fs are just a no-no, you know, so you would have to retake that course in order to kind of, you know, diminish that lower grade. If it's more like a C, you know, the best you can get is, you know, definitely an A, so that C turns into a B. Is it worth it? It really depends on how, you know, how bad that's going to make or break your GPA. So a lot of times for students, if they're, you know, got a couple of C's on the transcript and it's, spotty, you know, they don't think the GPA is as competitive, they do go the route of getting that post-bac experience or even the master's. So then you can just let the undergrad be undergrad. Let's see how well you do in the graduate level. And, you know, hopefully you'll have improved and make all A's. That's what we would love to see, right? You're welcome.
Okay, this is my last question.
Fine.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you guys, if medical schools are noticing that a lot of pre-meds, what they're doing is they're doing virtual shadowing over Zoom. So they'll have a physician come and speak about, like, you know, clinical cases, you know, their day to day. So I was just wondering, would that be an activity that would count as shadowing, or would it just count as an extracurricular activity? Because I know people have said that it could count as both. It counts one as the other. Some people say it depends on the school if they want to accept it as an activity or not.
Right. So I remember telling you about the healthcare experiences, and I'm trying to go back to my presentation so I can read it to you. Unpaid healthcare activity is a healthcare activity. So it is participation in a certain way, but it's not direct patient care. So you do, it's a slippery slope right there. I think that if going over particular cases, yeah, that might be more of an extracurricular activity versus if you're actually like scribing, or if the physician allows you to no one can call it Skyping, but Zoom in or whatever their platform is, to be able to see. But there are virtual scribing opportunities as well. So those I know definitely count. But that's a good question about a physician coming to talk to you. I think that that is not quite what we're saying is healthcare activity.
Or I'm just wondering about electives, because I've heard from several medical students at Lubbock Medical School in Lubbock that they have a I forget what, or medicinal food class, where it's like for any people interested in, like, say family doctors, like, or internal medicine type stuff, if they could, because we have the obesity epidemic going on. It's quite prevalent, especially in more rural areas and some inner city pockets. But I was just wondering if UTMB also had sort of these specialized electives that, you know, you can't really find much elsewhere, or there's only one or two medical schools out there that also have those.
Yes, we do. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know exactly what they are. At one point, we had one faculty member I know who did like art in medicine. And so that didn't have but a few students, but you know, whatever, they had an interest and they could find a faculty member that would support them in that elective, then maybe they could get that started and that can be an elective. We do have a number of electives, and they're all over. They range with anything and everything. So even if it's something that we don't have, our faculty are very open to instituting something just for you. So if you are, you know, bent on being able to do something like that, they can. So I don't think the elective information is out there on our website for like the public to see. But there are a number of electives, specialized electives, something similar to that too, very much so.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, if no one else has any more questions and we all feel this is wrapped up, I would like to say once again, thank you so much, Mrs. Neely.
You're
for
welcome.
like an hour, close to an hour and a half with us.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
really good meeting.
I'm glad.
Learned a lot.
Miguel asked, touring UTMB. So yes, right now they have not lifted the ban for public individuals to come on campus. I'm hoping that that'll change, you know, before the end of the year, where we can have small numbers of people to be able to come see campus. And I don't know what that's going to look like, but that's something as soon as we know, we'll be putting the word out there. Hey, you can come on down. Let's set up some times where you can come and see the campus. But thanks you guys for inviting me. I really enjoyed talking to you all, and I hope that you learned a lot about UTMB. And like I said, our door is open, so you're welcome to contact us further if you have any other questions.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Take care.
You too, ma'am. Bye-bye.
All right. Have a good night, guys. I'll upload this to YouTube once I get it all downloaded.
And I already updated everyone who was in the meeting with their hours.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, if you guys stay for the full hour and a half, then you'll get an extra hour for it.
Already ahead of you on that one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, sweet. Sounds good. See y'all later.
See y'all around.
Wait, was that like a whole extra hour? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, so
So
you'll get 2 hours.
Okay, bet. Thank you.
You're good.